Interested in obtaining an APS-C high-end Canon mirrorless camera? Or what about a 12K video camera that doesn't overheat? Boy, do we have a news update for you. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Simon. Welcome to The Ordinary Filmmaker. If you're new here, subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news. And all the links to everything I talk about in this video, including any gear discussed, are placed in the description down below. So we do have an update on the high-end APS-C RF camera that we talked about back in April. Canon plans to release a mirrorless version of the 7D in late 2020 or early 2021, and this is all according to Canon rumors. There's a lot of demand for a high-end APS-C mirrorless camera. Owners of the 6D and 7D have almost given up hope, expecting a mirrorless version of their beloved camera. This should rekindle those hopes, unless, of course, you've already made plans to purchase a replacement camera, or you've pre-ordered one of those, I don't know, R6s or R5s. Canon rumors goes on to say that the high-end APS-C camera will essentially provide the same capabilities of the R6, but with an APS-C size sensor. So with that, I can assume that the price is probably going to be right around $24.99. Now this camera will share the same mount. There won't be the same designation like we get with the EF mount. Full-frame EF bodies use EF lenses only. They can't use EF-M and they can't use EF-S. But APS-C EF bodies have purpose-built EF-S lenses, but they can still use the more expensive and professional EF lenses. Just a few hours ago, I published this video about the Sony a7S III, and I announced that the date of the official announcement coming directly from Sony is going to be July the 28th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Unfortunately, at some part, I had mentioned July the 10th. Did I do this in the thumbnail where I could easily change it? Nope. How about really later on in the video where nobody except for my most diehard fans would watch and say, it's just a simple mistake? Nope. How about in the first 5 seconds of the video, right in the intro where everybody sees it? Yep, I'm still getting comments on it. I'm still saying, yes, no, it's the 28th. I goofed. Oh, it's so frustrating. This happens from time to time. I do make mistakes. My brain will say the wrong thing. And I know what you're saying. Well, Simon, you obviously edited, right? Or did you have your team of squirrels working on this? Yes, I did have my team of squirrels working on it. And despite having recorded 3 separate intros, for some reason, we didn't hear July the 10th, and that's the reason why it got out there. Now, I did record 2 videos at lunchtime. I recorded the one I just mentioned, the Sony a7S III announcement, and also the majority of this video here. Now, I'm just, through the magic of technology, I'm being able to add these segments on later, but I do apologize for that mistake. It's just one of those things that happens. Well, I recorded that Sony video earlier, and the first part of this video, some news came out from Blackmagic. You might be wondering, well, why, Simon? Wouldn't you have covered that in a separate video? Well, there's a very good reason. My channel's called The Ordinary Filmmaker, and it's aimed at ordinary filmmakers and photographers, you know, moms, dads, brothers and sisters, people that are going to be buying cameras that generally don't cost more than about $3,000 to $4,000. And, well, this camera is more of a cinema camera. It's pretty big. If you could imagine me walking down to the park with my son holding this big, heavy thing, it would just seem out of place, or wrapped around my neck, hanging from my shoulders. This thing is just really, really big. Well, compared to an R5, an R6, or a Sony a7S III. So for the size, and I'll get into other reasons why this would not be good for the ordinary filmmaker. But what was stunning about this announcement is that it's 12K. Yeah, 12K video. We're not talking about time-lapse. We're talking about 12K video. And they were able to play this video live on a computer, and I'll get to that in a moment. But think about this for a minute. Back in February or late January, when I announced the rumor about the R5 having 8K with IBIS and all those other specs, I got an earful. There's no way Canon leapfrogged the competition. They don't even have IBIS. They don't even have 4K properly. You're trying to tell me they leapfrogged the competition? Well, finally, after a couple of months of Canon constantly telling us about the R5, and yes, it does have 8K video, we all came to the realization, okay, Canon has 8K video, but they've probably restricted it somehow. And sure enough, the camera's been announced officially, not released, and it has 8K video. It can shoot 20 minutes of video. Well, here comes Blackmagic, and they've leapfrogged Canon 12K video. And another reason why this is not for the ordinary filmmaker is not its price tag of $10,000. And I'm not going to get into a ton of detail. I'm not going to cover this camera in depth because it's not within the scope of my channel. I'm not going to, but from just sheer technology and what it can do, it's definitely a topic worth touching upon. So that's why I'm doing it as a segment within this video instead of dedicating time just to it. So the other thing about this camera, and it's beautiful, they showed it on a Mac Pro and they were able to edit, I think, 9 different streams in real time. The Mac Pro starts at more or less $10,000 once you get the monitor, because you can't get the Mac Pro and not get the monitor. So right there, your base system, and the base system, the graphics card is pretty slow. You're probably going to want to get the ProRes card. There's another $2,000. You're going to beef up the graphics card. So I cannot see you buying this system for anything less than $15,000 US. So yes, the Blackmagic is a bargain at $10,000, but to be able to do any sort of editing with it, you're going to need one heck of a beefy machine. And I gotta love Blackmagic, the way they do their presentations. I forgot the gentleman's name, but he does it so nonchalantly, just like, oh yeah, we were just kind of working away in our shed, and yeah, we kind of came up with this 12K camera. Would you like to take a look? I just love the way they present it, and it's very easy, it's very clear, it's very concise, very coherent, it's very easy to hear. He's not talking as fast as I am, but a stunning piece of technology, and yes, it's big compared to a DSLR or mirrorless camera. But for cameras in this space, for if I was shooting the Grand Tour, or if I was shooting any other TV show or a documentary, let's say I only had one camera to choose and I was shooting a documentary, I'd very seriously look at this camera. I wouldn't shoot in 12K. I'd probably shoot in 4K most of the time, but there'd be situations where I want to be able to crop into the video later, and then yeah, I might open up 12K for a little bit. But what a powerful camera. $10,000, and all you need is a $15,000 to $20,000 computer to edit it with. But again, if you're in this ballpark, these prices are very, very small. If you're doing TV shows, documentaries, no, this isn't too bad. But I wait to hear some of the other pros who deal within this space, who work in broadcast type situations or television and movies, and hear their take. I'd really love to hear Frosty's take on this camera too, but pretty impressive. Now, just yesterday in this video here, I was talking about how the R5 performs in hot and humid environments. Tropical locales where basically it doesn't drop below about 25 degrees Celsius or about 85 degrees Celsius all year long, all the time. Even at night, it's hot, it's humid. Samguw, a Canon ambassador, reached out to me and he said, "Hey Simon, thanks for the shout out, really appreciate it. Just wanted to add a few more points after processing what happened. I don't think the camera actually overheats. A warning signal is referred to as the overheating control, and when I was shooting, the camera didn't get hot. It got warm, so I don't think the camera actually overheats. I believe it's more of a safety precaution of stopping the camera reaching temps that could damage it further. Whilst I wish it didn't, I do find it pretty awesome that the camera doesn't completely shut off, and in the worst case scenario, you can still shoot full HD and stills. I think Canon could potentially increase the threshold limit in firmware, but I think it's highly unlikely, and Canon would focus on the overall reliability of the camera than risk damaging it due to overheating. Just my 2 cents. Appreciate everything you're doing so far." Thanks so much for getting back to me and updating me on this, Samguw. One thing that I really feel very important about my channel is presenting information. I try to be as transparent as I can, as accurate as I can, and if I got something incorrect, or if there's more information to tell a better picture, or to tell the whole picture, I would say, I do very much appreciate that. I don't like telling half-truths, and that you discover this extra information is terrific. I think it's really awesome that even if the camera goes into what they call an overheat mode, or it reaches that tolerance level, it's probably a better way to say it, that you can still shoot full HD video. Which tells me, or I can infer, that maybe that if you just shot full HD on this camera, you probably wouldn't have any problems at all. But if you're buying the R5, you're probably not buying it just for full HD. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, I'm getting the R5, not because I think it's the perfect camera for me, although it does check a lot of the boxes. The A7S III might be a better camera for my use cases, but there's a huge demand for this camera and there's a lot of questions. I don't believe that you can do a proper review if you rent it for a weekend or even a week. I think it really is going to take a good month of using this camera, day in and day out to really see where some of the issues are. And I want to take it through scenarios that the ordinary filmmaker and photographer will use. Like, let's see how good it is in 1080p. Is it better than the EOS R or the 90D? And then let's try things such as 4K 30 and 4K 24. Shoot an entire video, a Q&A video, that will shoot probably about 70 to 80 minutes of footage and see how that boils down, see if I have any issues. And only then, once I go through the basic modes that I consider to be the bread and butter of the ordinary filmmaker, will I try and push things a little bit further. Only then will I try to produce videos in 4K 30 or 24 in high Q mode, which is downsampling 8K from the full sensor instead of 2x2 pixel binning. And then, of course, get in some of the more advanced modes such as 4K 120, 4K 60, and of course 8K. Can't imagine what I would use 8K for right now. I'm not going on vacation anywhere. Maybe I can get some really good shots of bees enjoying a nice cucumber flower or something. Maybe a robin in the backyard enjoying a worm. I'm not really too sure. I can't really imagine why we'd want to see that in such detail, but hey, you never know, right? The nice thing about 8K is it does give you that ability to crop in. But from what we saw from the Blackmagic camera, you do need a bit of processing power once you start to get up into 8K and 12K. Now, Apple does say that the iMac Pro can handle 8K video. We're going to find out if that's the case. I do have an iMac Pro here. I am going to try 8K video once I do have access to files. Now, if any of you out there, and Samguw, if you're listening, if you do have 8K files, both RAW and all I or IPB, I'd really love it if you could provide access to those where I could download it and I could see what it's like to edit those live in my computer to see if it chokes at all. But that's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win this Canon EF 50mm f1.8 lens. Thank you so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. I appreciate it very much. We'll see you again soon.